We've been led to believe that harnessing the sun's energy requires thousands of dollars in high-tech silicon panels, complex inverters, and fragile black box-like systems that you can't build or repair when they inevitably begin to degrade or fail. But there's a way to capture the sun's energy, known for hundreds of years, using nothing more than the basic laws of thermodynamics and common materials found in any hardware store. While your neighbor's rooftop solar panels struggle to achieve 20% efficiency, this discarded method achieves a conversion rate close to 70%. It even surpasses some of the most advanced industrial engines, using little more than glass, water, and mirrors. So, what forgotten technology is this? How does it work? And why aren't we all installing this system instead of solar panels? Let's find out. To find the roots of this technology, we need to go back to an earlier time, when the world became dependent on the centralized electricity grid. In 1866, a mathematics professor named Augustin Mouchot stood in the courtyards of France and demonstrated a machine that used a huge conical mirror to concentrate sunlight onto a glass-covered boiler. At that time, France deeply feared its dependence on British coal, and Mouchot was tasked by the emperor with finding an alternative. His device not only worked, it produced enough high-pressure steam to power a mechanical engine, proving that the sun's heat was a concentrated industrial force long before the first silicon solar cell was even imagined. The machine was so effective that in 1878 it was presented at the Paris World's Fair. There, Mouchot connected it to a heat-powered refrigeration device and produced blocks of ice before an impressed crowd. The logic of solar thermal energy left the classrooms of France and reached the banks of the Nile in 1913. It was there that an American engineer named Frank Schuman built the Mard power plant, the world's first large-scale solar irrigation system. Schuman understood that the most efficient way to capture the sun was not through complex chemistry, but through simple geometry. He built 5 enormous parabolic troughs, each nearly 60 meters long. These mirrors tracked the sun's movement, concentrating its energy in a central cast-iron tube to boil water and power a 60-horsepower engine capable of pumping about 6,000 gallons of water per minute. Schuman was a pragmatist, not a dreamer. He realized that the world's coal reserves were finite and predicted that within a century, the Sahara Desert would become the planet's powerhouse. He proved that for the price of ordinary glass and iron, a nation could independently possess its own energy source. However, his vision was abruptly interrupted by the outbreak of World War I and the subsequent discovery of cheap, seemingly infinite oil in the Middle East. The world did not abandon this thermal logic because it failed. We abandoned it because the emerging energy monopolies of the 20th century realized they could measure, sell, and control oil. The reason this system outperforms a modern silicon panel lies in the fundamental difference between chemistry and concentration. A conventional solar panel relies on the photovoltaic effect, a reaction that occurs when photons strike a semiconductor. This process is naturally limited by the laws of quantum physics, meaning that even the most expensive panels on the market are bound to waste about 80% of the energy they receive. But this forgotten method, on the other hand, completely ignores electricity and focuses on the sun's raw thermal energy. And the difference between these two methods is enormous. It's like trying to collect water from a tap with a sponge instead of using a bucket. The key to this system is the parabolic curve. When sunlight hits a flat surface, the rays are reflected in a wide, scattered direction. But when you curve a reflective surface into a precise mathematical shape, each photon that hits that surface is redirected to a single concentrated line known as the focal point. This is the system's self-sustaining engine. By using a curved mirror, you're not just capturing sunlight, you're multiplying its intensity hundreds of times. By placing a tube filled with carrier fluid, usually water or oil, precisely on this focal line, you create a heat trap. Because the tube is enclosed in a vacuum glass tube, heat can enter but cannot easily escape. This concentration creates temperatures that can easily exceed 300 degrees Celsius, or about 572 degrees Fahrenheit. At this temperature, the water inside the tube undergoes a phase change, transforming into high-pressure steam, and that's when a simple length of pipe becomes a power plant. In a modern setup, this heat doesn't need to be used immediately. It can be sent to a thermal battery, a simple, well-insulated tank filled with salt or sand. This is because heat is much easier and cheaper to store than electricity. You can charge this thermal battery during the day and draw energy from it throughout the night. When power is needed, the stored heat is used to boil water, creating steam that drives a mechanical piston or turbine. Unlike a closed solar panel, like a black box that becomes a useless glass plate the moment an internal circuit fails, this thermal logic is transparent and mechanical. If the tube leaks, you solder it. If the motor seizes, you grab a wrench and adjust it. You're harnessing the friction of atoms instead of the flow of electrons. And this allows for an efficiency rate that silicon simply cannot match. For those living on independent property, this means a system that is not just an appliance, it's a permanent industrial infrastructure that can be repaired, adapted, and improved over time. The logic of Frank Schuman and Augustin Mouchot hasn't disappeared, it's simply been taken out of sight. While we are taught to think of solar energy as a grid-dependent consumer electronic product, the world's most efficient energy projects have returned to this low-tech thermal basis to solve the problem that continues to haunt the renewable energy industry: storage. But the relevance of this technology is no longer limited to the high deserts of Spain or enormous industrial-scale power plants. For the modern homeowner, the real revolution lies in the miniaturization of the solar panel, a shift towards micro-CSP, which prioritizes direct heat capture instead of indirect electron generation. Proof of this shift appears in the clear mathematics of efficiency. While common photovoltaic panels struggle to convert even 20% of solar rays into usable energy, research published in journals such as Energy and Renewable Energy confirms that small parabolic troughs can capture almost 70% of that same energy. This enormous leap is possible because sunlight is concentrated in a single self-performing receiver tube. And recent experimental analyses on surface treatments have demonstrated that black oxide coatings can increase the temperature difference of the heat transfer fluid by more than 60%. This is not just about warm water for a bath. This involves generating high-quality thermal energy above 200 degrees Celsius or approximately 392 degrees Fahrenheit, transforming an ordinary backyard into a small, private, high-pressure power plant. The beauty of this thermal approach lies in its inherent simplicity when it comes to energy storage. It's mathematically absurd to use electricity to create heat. However, that's exactly what the modern grid-connected home does. By completely bypassing electrical conversion, a domestic trough can feed boiling water or steam directly into the home's infrastructure. Studies highlighted in the Journal of Energy Storage show that storing this energy in thermal batteries using pressurized water, sand, or phase-change materials is significantly more economical than using lithium-ion battery banks. These thermal systems operate with a round-trip efficiency of around 95%. And unlike chemical batteries, they show no significant signs of degradation even after thousands of cycles. This thermal logic offers an energy density that electricity simply cannot match, creating a financial return that dramatically shortens the traditional investment timeframe for renewable energy. Because a homemade parabolic trough uses readily available materials like polished aluminum and steel tubing instead of specialized semiconductors. The initial investment is only a fraction of a commercial installation. When replacing high-cost resistive electric heating, the levelized cost of heat from a home trough can drop to approximately 3 cents per kWh. This creates a payback window of just 2 to 5 years, a radical improvement compared to the decade-long wait typically associated with residential photovoltaic systems. Recent data on dual-effect absorption cooling has demonstrated that a modest residential unit can meet nearly 40% of a building's cooling needs and 20% of its heating demand simultaneously. When you own the heat, you own the fundamental currency of survival. You gain the power to cook, wash, heat your home, and run appliances. All this without needing a utility company permit or relying on a fragile global supply chain of rare minerals. By recovering the 70% efficiency of concentrated thermal systems, the do-it-yourselfer ceases to be a consumer of a measured product and becomes a harvester of a permanent resource, protected from inflation. So if the physics are superior, storage is cheaper, and history has already proven that the system works, why aren't we all installing parabolic troughs in our own backyards? The answer lies in the incentive structure of the 20th century. Just as Frank Schuman was proving the viability of the solar steam cycle, the geopolitical landscape changed. The discovery of enormous reserves of easy oil in the Middle East offered a dense energy source, but above all, a source that could be measured, transported, sold, and taxed. Parabolic solar technology, on the other hand, is the ultimate self-sufficiency technology because it concentrates light to achieve temperatures that flat-plate collectors simply cannot reach. It provides high-quality thermal energy, normally reserved for factories. After you install a solar tracking trough and an insulated storage tank, your marginal cost to obtain high-pressure heat and steam approaches zero. You're not buying a recurring product. You're harvesting a permanent resource. For a utility company built around monthly billing cycles, this is an existential nightmare. Photovoltaic panels gained traction not because they were the most efficient way to power a home, but because they better fit the industrial model. Photovoltaic panels are complex to manufacture. They require billion-dollar factories, highly specialized processes, and a global supply chain involving rare minerals. How do they produce low-voltage electricity instead of high-quality raw heat? They also require specialized inverters and restrictive grid connection contracts, allowing the utility company to remain the intermediary between you and the sun. While flat-plate collectors have been relegated to the simple role of heating domestic water, the parabolic trough has been largely kept out of the residential market, precisely because its efficiency, frequently cited in renewable energy magazines as being 3 times that of photovoltaic panels in thermal applications, offered too much independence. For decades, we traded the direct 70% efficiency of concentrated thermal systems for the 20% efficiency of electronics, simply because the latter was easier to monetize and control. For modern domestic applications, the argument in favor of the parabolic trough is one of radical decentralization. By moving away from the fully electric home, we also move away from the fragility of the grid. We didn't choose photovoltaic panels because they were the best way to cook a meal, run an air conditioner, or heat a floor. We chose them because they were the best way to build an industry. Installing a domestic solar trough today is about recovering that lost process heat. It's an act of leaving a system that prefers to sell you an expensive, short-lived chemical battery rather than allowing you to store the concentrated focus of the sun in a simple, virtually eternal tank of pressurized water. For those seeking energy independence, the transition from consumer to producer begins with a single calculation: the concentration ratio. To build a functional solar thermal collector, You don't need a laboratory. But you do need to master the relationship between the surface area of your mirror and the surface area of the receiving tube. A well-designed domestic trough typically aims for a ratio of at least 15:1. This means that for every 15 centimeters of mirror width, the sun's energy is compressed onto a tube just over 1 centimeter wide. This concentration is what separates a parabolic trough from a common flat-plate solar heater. It's the difference between lukewarm water and the high-quality thermal energy needed to actually operate a house. The most accessible way to achieve this power level is the linear parabolic trough. Using a polished aluminum sheet or a silver mailer film supported by a rigid structure with parabolic ribs, you can create a collector capable of reaching temperatures above 200 degrees C or about 392 degrees Fahrenheit for a fraction of the cost of a single photovoltaic panel. For most people, the real barrier in this construction is the tracking system. As the sun moves, a stationary mirror loses focus in a few minutes. When aligned on a north-south axis, industrial plants use computerized GPS trackers, but those living on independent property can use a much simpler active tracker, a pair of photoresistors and a low-speed motor, keeping the trough locked onto the sun's arc throughout the day. Another option is to align the trough on an east-west axis. This reduces the overall efficiency of the collector, but only requires adjustments as the seasons change, avoiding the need for daily tracking motors. However, the real secret to off-grid success isn't the collector, it's thermal storage. To achieve true energy independence, you bypass the expensive and short cycle of electric batteries and channel high-quality heat directly into a thermal battery. Whether using a heavily insulated pressurized water tank or an experimental sand-based system, the goal is high-density storage. Research from Castell's University and the Solar Fire Initiative confirms that a well-insulated thermal storage tank can retain over 90% of its energy for more than 24 hours. This allows you to harvest the peak intensity of a Tuesday afternoon to provide high-pressure steam for cooking or underfloor heating on a rainy Wednesday morning. If you're looking for a community-validated starting point, and the open-source movement offers some of the best designs for regaining self-sufficiency. George Plack maintains an excellent website with very practical information and advice on building and applying parabolic troughs. It's definitely worth checking out. The Parabolic Solar Trough is a bridge between 19th century mechanical genius and 20th century energy needs. It proves that a single concentrated reflection can offer more energy security than an entire decade of battery innovation. By choosing concentration over chemistry, we move from being consumers of a fragile metered grid to practitioners of a permanent physical law. When you have the heat, you also have the ability to cook, cool, and fuel your life on your own terms. Much of what this channel shows has almost been lost, not because it stopped working, but because the industry moved on to something more profitable to sell you. They traded 70% thermal efficiency for technology that is easier to manufacture, sell, and control. Does discovering the lost art of decentralized, efficient, and high-performance energy make sense to you? Subscribing to the channel and sharing this video is the simplest way to ensure this kind of knowledge continues to be found. And if you want to see how these same principles of fluid dynamics can provide a house with a continuous basic energy load for 50 years, using nothing more than a backyard stream, then you need to watch our analysis of the peak hydro generator right here.